So in the studio with Dr. Dre, can you describe it? Is he really a perfectionist? Have you done shit that you like, that's it? And he's like, no, we gotta tweak it. We gotta do more.
Yes. Yes.
Did it drive you crazy? Like what is it like? Because we hear that Dre is a perfectionist, and we hear that he throws away incredible records, or he just doesn't put them out and use them. Is that true?
I think that what people hear, I'm gonna leave it to urban legend. I'll let it be.
Okay, yeah.
But when it comes down to Dre, he is a perfectionist, and he brings the best out of the people around him. So there's no other way to be around a perfectionist if you don't start to implement trying to be a perfectionist yourself. So I appreciate him, because if it wasn't for Dre pushing me to be better for me, I wouldn't be sitting here with you.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be, talking about my drums or any hits I've ever made, because I still would be doing, like you said, sitting in the basement trying to figure things out. But when you're around somebody that is meticulous and pays attention to detail, you find yourself doing the same thing for yourself.
Give me a record that you made that everybody loves that you didn't really like it.
That I didn't really like it?
Yeah, that's not your favorite record, but everybody just loves it, and you're just like, that's not my favorite one.
It's going to sound weird. I'm not in love with You Already Know, the 112 record, because I know that was a loop, and I didn't have a chance to go back in and finish the record before it came out. I had added some instrumentation, guitar, bass lines, things like that. And, the writer, Shakir Stewart, the group, like everybody just kind of wanted it to stay as empty as it was, as sparse as it was. So they stripped it back down. And it just didn't feel warm and inviting. It just felt very in the box. So that one kind of crawls up my back a little bit when I hear it. But at the same time, I love the response. The people loved it.
Give me a record that you feel was slept on, that you is one of your favorite records, but everybody overlooks that for something else.
For something else, I think a lot of the stuff that I did with Chino XL, especially on his album Reconstruction, we did a lot of work together, and it was anthemic. It was big, and you the people that are watching, I hope you know who Chino XL is, and just know what kind of MC he is. It's very aggressive, and I really wanted to keep to the truest essence of who he was. And we didn't get the response that I thought we were going to get. So that's definitely one project that I wish would have got more response.
In the studio, are you a do the vocals over person? Or
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
Is that something that you've always been, or is that something that you learned from Dre?
That's something I learned from Dre, because I wanted everybody to like me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, when you're building a relationship, you don't just turn around and go, "Ooh, that's horrible," and you're flat. Can we go back? And these people might be seasoned that I'm working with. So I wasn't as verbal in the interim of my career, but once things started to move forward and people saw that I wasn't going anywhere, I started speaking up. And once I spoke up and people listened, we were able to come to a common ground, and they knew that I wanted the best out of them for the best of the project. And that's where things started to turn around.
How important is it for you to actually be in the studio collabing on the music, opposed to emailing the music?
I think it's life. That's the life of the song. I think that's the most important thing. If you want to get somebody's pulse, you don't turn around and put your finger on a phone or a finger on an email. You want to put your finger on their neck. And the thing about it is, if I'm not near you, I don't know what is affecting you that day. Maybe I could tap into that emotion that you're feeling, and we can make that song, that Confessions, or that I Want to Rock With You, or that, whatever great hit that affected you, we can do that and make the same effect. But they're taking the soul and the purpose of making music together. They're taking it away from it, and everybody's kind of just existing in their own realm. So the music actually feels like that. Music feels very compartmentalized and very distant. It's not even resonating like it used to.
What's the first thing you did with your first big check? What did you buy?
My first big check, I got a place to live,
Okay. And where was the check from? Let them know where you got the check from.
My first check, and it wasn't even that big, but my first check was some drum programming that I did with my father on the second Power Station album. He needed some drums manipulated, so I brought the SP in, and I did some drum programming for Let's Get It On on the second Power Station thing. So when I got that check, instead of sleeping on my boy's floor, the first thing I did was go and get an apartment. And the moment I put my down payment on it, the check was gone.
Yeah.
But that was my thing. I just wanted to assert my my individualism. You know?
What was the dumbest thing you bought?
The dumbest thing I bought was at the time, it was a little after that. At the time, I had a manager, and he had this black Passat, and I don't know why I fell in love with that thing. But the clutch kept going out, and I put like a $2,100 system in there, and I put rims on it and all that, and that car didn't last me that long. That car kept conking out on me, and I put more money into it than I should have.
Why didn't you, or why don't you get caught up in the equipment game? Because you see some people say the new Nico was out, I'm going to get that, or this is out, I'm going to get that. Why do you stick to what you use?
I think because I'm a creature of habit. I think that a lot of the people I grew up around were comfortable in their skin and comfortable with the things that they were using, and that's one of those things that I definitely wanted to take an imprint on my movement, because you can lose a lot of money and a lot of time trying to learn other things when you can use that time as wisely as possible by mastering what you have. And that was my thing. That was my goal. I wanted to master what I had.
And what are you using right now?
Logic now.
Okay, Logic.
Yeah.
Is it Logic with the keyboard and VSTs and everything, or like how do you do that?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
I use it straight like a sequential system. Like it's a DAW, and I use it as such. So I have my MIDI keyboard and a bunch of plugins.
Do you miss the hardware sometimes?
This is the first time I'm probably gonna say this. No, I think it was way more expensive and mind-boggling to go into the studio and be intimidated by all of those things and try to figure out something. You know what I'm saying?
The lights blinking.
It's like now it's an even playing field, and every time I hit it, there's no such thing to me as a writer's block. I can create something.
Give me a beat that you heard that you wish you produced. New, old, any producer that you say, man, I wish I did that. That's just incredible.
Unbelievable by Biggie Smalls. When Premier did that, the little bite that he took and he made it work, that was amazing. I can go through so many beats, but that was one of my favorite beats.
When I seen you listen to other producers, I seen that you love chops. You love manipulation of records.
Yes.
And we had a sidebar conversation about now the kids that are producing don't know how to manipulate records. They're just taking noise and sound without focus. It's just noise. No pun intended.
No doubt.
When you hear the music of today, and it's not that nobody can call you old and bitter because you're very successful.
I appreciate it.
Do you say, what are you doing? Like, or do you say they need to be under the tutelage of somebody? Like, how do you gauge what's going on today?
If they're willing to listen, I'm willing to teach. If they're willing to hear me, then I'm willing to speak. But when it comes down to it, I still want to give them a word with a grain of salt. I never want to turn around and say something to them that I would hopefully not get in return. Like, I want to be spoken to the way I speak to people. You know what I'm saying? And I treat the janitor like I treat the CEO. Everybody's going to get equal respect. And if I can help, then that's what I'm here for. I wish I would have had mentors when I was growing up, physical mentors that were like, look, don't do that, do this, avoid that. But I didn't. You know what I'm saying? So if I can be somebody's mentor and help them avoid pitfalls, avoid potholes, and I'm going to do the best I can.
Should people go back to sampling, or did it become too expensive?
I think that there's enough cake, pie, and meals to go around, and I think that if you're going to sample the stuff, just be honest about it, because everybody can eat. Now you get a front end, you might get a small percentage of the song, and that person that might not be working as avidly as you are can get a check as well. So I think that's amazing.
Give me a sample that you flipped that you could not clear. Not the sample, but what artists always give you a hard time clearing the sample?
I did a record with an Earth, Wind, and Fire sample. No, I take that back. I did a record with a Friends of Distinction sample. I love this beat, and it was a posse song that I did for Soleil. And when we got to the goal line, we were right there, and we tried to kick that goal in, and they were like, no. They wanted 100% of the whole song, and we just couldn't let it roll. So,
for the young producers out there, at what point do they say no? What makes them say no? Is it because sometimes they don't like the content of the record, or is it sometimes they just want too much of the record?